right, stream is live. Day 25, January 25th. What is that? So 365, 25 off top, 340 more days to go. It's like it's flying by at a glacial pace, right? Yeah, good. Okay. I am 75% of the way through learning SAS. I think I'm going to complete the section now, if I'm not mistaken. Section 1 was create a SAS style sheet. Section 2 went over mixins and the AND selector. 3 yesterday was functions and operations, and now today we will be tackling sustainable SCSS. Let's go. Shall we begin? Cool. 8 sections. All right. Off to a good start. SAS can be confusing if it's not organized correctly. In this unit, we dive into the language's best practices. From file organization to understanding when it's best to include a mixin or extend a placeholder, we will learn about the methods that get the most out of SAS. We'll start with the best practices for organizing files. As your web app or web page grows in complexity, so will the styles that go along with it. It's best to keep code organized. Instructions. 1. Here we have an example of well-organized SAS file structure. Notice how the file structure makes it easy to think of the functionality of each component, facilitating the action of finding and updating files. We've got SAS, we've got this one giant image, components, helpers, layout, and pages. Components, buttons, carousel, cover. Buttons, carousel, cover, etc. Helpers, variables, functions, mixins, variables, SAS functions, SAS mixins, etc. Layout, grid, header.scss, footer. So layout, grid, header, footer, grid system, header, footer, etc. Pages, home, contact, home specific style, contact specific styles, etc. All within main.scss, primary SAS file. Okay. Walk this way. In addition to having a solid file structure, a big part of staying organized is splitting up the logic into smaller manageable components. SAS extends the existing CSS App Import rule to allow including other SCSS and SAS files. Typically, all imported SCSS files are imported into a main SCSS file, which is then combined to make a single CSS output file. The main global SCSS file has access to any variables or mixins defined in its import files. The @import command takes a file name to import. By default, @import looks for a SAS file in the same or otherwise specified directory, but there are a few circumstances in where it will behave just like a CSS import rule. If the file's extension is .css, if the file name begins with http://, if the file name is URL parentheses, if the @import has any media queries. In addition to keeping code organized, importing files can also save you from repeating code. For example, if multiple SCSS files reference the same variable, importing a file with variables partial. For example, if multiple SCSS files reference the same variables, importing a file with variables partial would save the trouble of redefining them each time. Sure. Instructions. Analyze the file architecture currently set up for the project by clicking on the file icon at the top left-hand corner of your code editor. We'll be using this to navigate between files. The lemonade stand is a smaller project, so we only set up a helper folder. As it grows, we could add partials for pages, components, and more. Okay. So, analyze the file structure currently set up for the project by clicking on the file icon in the top left-hand corner of your code editor. Top left-hand corner, SAS attack, helper, mixins, placeholders, variables, blah, blah, and blah. Lovely, lovely, good, good. We'll be using this to navigate between files. Lemonade Stand is a smaller project, so we only set up a helper folder. As it grows, we could add partials for pages and components. Cool. Next. Don't mind me. Alright. Crisis averted for now. Partials. Section 4 of 8. Okay. Partials in SAS are the files you split up to organize specific functionality in the codebase. They use a underscore prefix notation in the file name that tells SAS to hold off on compiling the file individually and instead import it, underscore file name .scss. To import this partial into the main file or the file that encapsulates the important rules and the bulk of the project styles, omit the underscore. All right. Blah, 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 to import the file into main, or use the file that encapsulates the important rules and the bulk of the project styles. Omit the underscore. For example, to import a file named variables, add the following line of code. At import variables. Why? For example, to import a file named underscore variables, add the following line of code. Import quotes variables. The global file imports all the components and centralizes the logic. Okay. Instructions. At the top of main.scss, import the variables partial. I don't like the terminology. It doesn't roll off the tongue well. At the top of main.scss, import the variables partial. Just sounds bad. At import helper / variables, a reminder that helper refers to resources like variables, mixins, functions, etc. These are elements that help make the foundation of your code base as it grows. All right, so where the deuce? So import helper / variable. So they've got CSS import here. And they've got all these. I think I'm going to drop it in Copy. Does that work? Does that fly? All right. Green checkbox, that works. No casualties just yet. Section 5. Hold on. Probably. Alright, section 5. Many times when styling elements, we want the styles of one class to be applied to another in addition to its own individual styles. So the traditional approach is to give the element both classes. Span class equals lemonade, closing span. Span class equals lemonade strawberry, closing tag. This is a potential bug in maintainability because then both classes always have to be included in the HTML in order for styles to be applied. Enter Sass's extend. All we have to do is make our strawberry class extend .lemonade. And we'll no longer have this dilemma. .lemonade border, 1 pixel yellow, background color, FDD, .strawberry extend .lemonade border color pink. Interesting. If you observe CSS output, you can see how addExtend is working to apply the lemonade rule to strawberry. Lemonade, comma, dot strawberry, border 1 yellow, background FDD, strawberry extend dot lemonade, border color pink. If we think of lemonade as the extendee and of strawberry as the extender, we can then think of Sass appending the extender selector to the rule declarations in the extendee definition. This makes it easy to maintain HTML code by removing the need to have multiple classes on an element. Instructions. In main.scss, define an absolute class selector as follows. Absolute position, absolute. Extend this class inside both .slogan and inside of span. Extend .absolute. Click Run to see your changes in the browser and inspect them in the output of main.css. Note, ideally classes we extend should have more than one property, but this example should serve to illustrate the concepts of extending. All right. Okay, so with that said, there's all the fun extendy stuff. Oh god, highlighting rampage there and there. The general format, especially when it comes to extending. The .lemonade is all the noise above, and then this is what we're adding to. Regardless of that having both, strawberry, it's extending the lemonade part, and these two both happen to share the same stuff. Okay, so with that said, now we're going to take Only there's lots of stuff all here. We're going to extend beyond this, or to that. Okay. What's that, little cat? Ah, you're licking yourself. Good. Good. Always important to be clean. Right. So, let's do this. We are looking at all kinds of stuff here. Fun. It's good to pretend. Alright, define an absolute class selector as follows. Dot absolute position. Absolute. Extend this class inside of both slogan and inside of span. We've got slogan. We've got span. We're going to be adding dot absolute. God, at least I think so. It's going to be a it storm. Okay, so lemonade ends. Strawberry begins, and we're extending lemonade to it. So we're adding absolute. And then we're going to do dot slogan, comma span, dot slogan, comma span, and extend to absolute. I think. There is a 95% chance that I'm wrong. Okay, let's do this. Copy. Blah. And now dot slogan. Comma span. Extend absolute. Right? No? Let's run this. Unfreaking believable. We got it right. I got it right. That is shocking. Okay. Next, section 6. Falling with style occasionally looks like flying. Right? Okay. Sometimes you may create classes solely for the purpose of extending them and never actually use them inside of your HTML. SAS anticipated this and allows for a special type of selector called a placeholder, which behaves just like a class or ID selector, but uses the % notation instead of hashtag or dot. Placeholders prevent rules from being rendered to CSS on their own and only become active once they are extended. Anywhere an ID or class could be extended. A % drink, font size 2 M's, background color lemon yellow, dot lemonade, extend %drink, more rules, blah, 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 would translate to a.lemonade. Font size, 2 M's, background color, lemon yellow, .lemonade, followed by more rules. Okay. Placeholders are a nice way to consolidate rules that never actually get used on their own in the HTML. Notice how we never actually use .absolute anywhere in the HTML. Remove it from main.scss and place it inside the helper placeholder SCSS. What? Oh god. And this is where it all comes crashing down. %absolute, position absolute. Now replace your old extend line with the placeholder extended notation. Extend %absolute. This is gonna be so bad. Click run. Okay. First, notice how we never actually use .absolute anywhere in the HTML. Okay, fine. Yes, and we're noticing. Nothing there regarding absolute. Cool. All right. Notice how we never use it. Remove it from main.scss and place it inside helper/placeholders. Here we go. What is this? Why is there so much red? Did I do something? It doesn't like me as a person. I am okay with that. I just want the red to go away. The machine is lashing back at me, little cat. We're gonna remove it. Helper, placeholders, and drop it in here. And then we're gonna swap out the dots for percentages. Oh god, not that. This guy. Okay, and run. Damn, did you extend the absolute placeholder inside of main? I don't know, they told me to get rid of it from, death. Hold on. Thank you. Oh, death. Okay, so percent unexpected percent token at line 1. Is there a lack of colons? Do I need more colon in my life? I do. Why is this all lashing back at me? Did you extend the absolute placeholder inside? They told me to get rid of the absolute. Now, wait. Okay. Remove it from main.css, place it inside placeholder. So we place that there. Now replace your old extend line with the placeholder. Aha! I removed the whole thing. It was me. It was overkill. Too much, right? slogan.span extend absolute run. Ta-da! Wow. Still can't believe I'm figuring this out slowly but surely. I'm sure cats could do this, but still. Progress is nice. Okay. Sweet. Recall that mixins, unlike extended selectors, insert the code inside the selector's rule whenever they are included, only including original code if they are assigning a new value to the rule's properties via an argument. Okay. Via an argument. Let's look at the mixins and extend constructs closely and compare output. Mixins. Wait, let's look at mixins and extend constructs closely and compare output. Mixin, no variable. Placeholder, span, div. Placeholders, paragraph, include no variables. H1, include no variables. Would compile to span, div, font size, blah, paragraph, font size, color, 0.9, rule specific to PS. H1, 12, FF, 0.9 rules specific to PS. Huh. Sure. We can clearly see extending results in a way clearer and more efficient output with as little repetition as possible. As a general rule of thumb, you should try to only create mixins that take in an argument, otherwise you should extend. Always look at your CSS output to make sure your extend is behaving as you intended. Removing the center mixin in the helper/mixin partial that does not take in a variable, convert the placeholder named %center inside the helper placeholders partial. Be sure to change the included statements to extend inside both span and H1. Extend center. All right. Hold up. Hold the phone. Dot something? What now? SAS helper. Remove the center mixin in the helper mixins partial that does not take in a variable. Convert the placeholder name %center inside helper. Whoa. Here's this. Mixin. Center. Step by step. Remove the center mixin in the helper mixin. So we're removing this. That doesn't take in a variable. Convert the placeholder named @center inside the helper placeholders partial. So now be sure to change the included statements to extend inside both span and H1. Mixin %. Okay. Center. Be sure to change the included statements to extend inside both span and H1. Extend center, which is going to be very similar to this. So we're going to have span and H1. In fact, I'm just going to copy you. I'm just going to drop it below this. We're going to have span and H1 and it will be extend to %center. Oh my god. Run. Oh my god, a green checkbox. Next. Congratulations. Awesome. Congratulations on completing the course Learn SAS. You've learned a new skill and should be proud. Want to take a look at your profile and see what you've accomplished? Yes, eventually. But let's read this. Alright. Sustainability is key in SAS. Planning out the structure of your files and sticking to naming conventions for both variables, mixins, and selectors can reduce complexity. Understanding CSS output is also essential to writing sustainable SCSS. In order to make the best choices about what functions and directives to use, it is important to first understand how this will translate in CSS. Mixins should only be used if they take in an argument. Otherwise, you should extend the selectors rule, whether it be a class, ID, or placeholder. In addition to the directives you have learned in this course, be sure to check out the many additional available SAS functions and directives. Fine. And we'll look at that later. Let's take a look at up next. Hot damn. Alright. What were the projects? Still trying to decide if I'm going to invest into going pro or not. Or getting the pro account. Refractor CSS to SCSS. Sassy parallax banner. SAS bar chart. Animated company logo. Alright. So now let's take a look at 242. Way cool. Three skills down, 39 badges. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, catalog. So the next thing we'll start taking or chipping away at tomorrow is make a website. What is it? Explore HTML and CSS fundamentals as you build a website in this introductory course to web development. 4 hours. Way cool. Alright, well that is it for today. Day 25 down, 340 more days to go. Tomorrow, day 26, will be make a website. And we will continue on the party from there. Good times. Still in the stream.